Today, we're going to demonstrate subjective refraction using a Phoropter. From fogging and defogging technique up to determining the presence of astigmatism. Subjective refraction has a multi-step procedures that aims to determine the suitable lens for the patient to attain best visual acuity with accommodation relaxed. It is done along with the cooperation of a patient. First, let the patient sit comfortably on the Phoropter chair. Make sure to disinfect the Phoropter before and after examining the patient. Given that her PD is 65 mm, now in this test, left eye is being occluded while the right eye will be tested. Then start fogging the lens to make the patient artificially myopic and also to relax the accommodation. In this case, the patient's static retinoscopy gross finding is plus 225 diopter sphere, which is an indication that the patient may have hyperopia. And to be confirmed on to the succeeding tests.
Now tell me if the target is already blurred.
It's blur, but I can still recognize the letters.
Tell me if the target is blurred.
It's blurred.
Here, the patient could still distinguish the target at plus 2 sphere. That's why the examiner added sufficient plus lens until the patient can no longer read the biggest target. Now we got the fogging lens of plus 250 sphere. Let us now proceed to defogging.
Now tell
In
me
this
if the
method,
target is
the examiner will reduce the amount of plus lens until the best visual acuity has attained. The patient is having difficulty in seeing the 2200 line with a plus 150 sphere lens. Therefore, the examiner should reduce the plus lens power until the patient is able to read the 2200 line. The patient is now able to read the 2200 line with a plus 50 sphere lens. The examiner will now start to introduce a smaller target. The patient has difficulty in reading the 2075 line with a plus 50 sphere lens. From a plus 50 sphere lens,
there?
the examiner reduces the lens power by a quarter diopter, leaving a plus 25 sphere lens.
How about this?
Clear.
The patient's best visual acuity is 20/20 with a tentative sphere of plus 25 diopter.
Now from this target, tell me if the target becomes slightly blurred.
To get the ideal fog, sufficient amount of plus lens are added to blur 1 up to 2 lines above the patient's best visual acuity. Take note that the ideal fog should be ranging from plus 25 up to plus 75 sphere.
C and F are slightly blur, but L, D, N are not.
Okay. How about this one?
Slightly blur. Everything now is slightly blur.
At plus 50 lens in place, the patient reports slightly blurred.
Now I'll present you this chart.
In this case, clock dial is presented to determine the presence of astigmatism.
Now are the lines equally dark?
No.
Which number is darker?
4, in between 4 and 5, 10, and in between 10 and 11.
Since the patient was able to respond which lines are darker, the examiner has concluded that there is a presence of astigmatism with a power meridian of 45 degrees and an axis meridian of 135 degrees.
Now I'll present you this chart.